Okay, one of the issues that we've been hearing about at the show is the range of devices that would be available for mobile TV. Not just phones, but a broad range of players and non-voice devices that would help operators and other players enter this market. And so with that in mind, come to a good stand to talk to Alan from Siano. You make the silicon, the chips that go into these range of devices. Mobile TV at the moment, can you just tell us, what's driving the design demand that you're seeing at that level?
It seems that right now the fuel that drives the industry is the consumer business model. In other words, the free-to-air business model. So while the pay TV part of the business takes more time, there are all kinds of issues like regulation and allocation of frequencies and so on. We see a strong uptake from the simple free-to-air services. So right now, there are, for example, DVB-T is deployed in about 40 or 50 countries worldwide. DAB, which is digital radio, is deployed in about 17 countries. Then we have ISDBT running in Japan. We have TDMB in Korea. We have CMMB, which was launched in China during the Olympics. So these technologies are out there. For example, in China, CMMB is deployed in 37 cities, wide deployment. And what we see is a very strong demand from consumer electronic makers to basically wanting to integrate digital TV on their devices. So that comes from manufacturers of navigation devices, digital photo frames, MP4 players, notebook makers, and so on. So basically that boosts the industry right now. While the mobile phone consumption, the integration of digital TV into mobile phone continues to rise, but at a moderate growth rate, I would say. We anticipate that this will continue like this with a strong demand from the consumer in the next 1 or 2 years, and then also mobile phones will become large.
So on the free-to-air model, does that mean that you have to be very price-sensitive on the device? Does it make it more so, or is there no real difference?
From our standpoint, it actually doesn't mean this because even at the end, even for a pay TV business model, we have to sell to the device maker. So, a guy like Nokia or Motorola, they would like to get the best price they can, to reduce the bill of material. It doesn't matter if this is a consumer business model or a pay TV business model. So from our standpoint, price pressure exists, but it's the same. But what it really means right now is that the uptake is faster because the free-to-air business model is obviously simple. I mean, the functionality, once the functionality is there, the end users buys the device, turn it on, and TV is possible. TV is there. So.
Okay. And you mentioned maybe DVB-H coming, and did you say 1 or 2 years in volume? I didn't quite catch that.
Yes, what I'm saying is DVB-H exists. I mean, you can see the Motorola device over here and some other devices. So DVB-H exists. We are selling also into the DVB-H market, but the growth rate is much smaller. France is, I think, going to be the litmus test for DVB-H. I mean, we've been so far we've been a little bit disappointed with Germany and other countries exhibiting delays in the ramp-up of DVB-H. France is now well prepared for the launch of DVB-H. About 16 channels are going to be up in the air. A number of different operators are involved. The conditional access is set. Everything is ready. And France is a very important country in this respect. So I think come first quarter of 2009, we expect to see a successful launch of DVB-H in France. That will ignite the entire industry. That will bring DVB-H back, so to speak. If that doesn't happen, then the future of DVB-H is kind of questionable.
Okay, and what DVB-H manufacturers do you design for? What design wins have you got that you can talk about?
The ones that we can expose at this time, well, one is Motorola. We work also with Acer. Acer is a multi-standard smartphone that supports DVB-H. We work with ZTE, a large Chinese manufacturer. So ZTE is selling as an ODM to operators like Telecom Italia, Hutchison Italia, and so on. We also work with other ODMs, large ODMs from Asia, a company like Inventec Appliances, for example, who is working with Orange France. So these are the ones that we can expose at this time. We have some others that will be exposed early 2009.
The mobile silicon and chipset market is pretty much for phones dominated by 3-4 main players. Does this market sort of open up to itself to other players, or do you think that you're looking at a sort of shortish window of opportunity before these guys really muscle in?
From the chip maker standpoint, well, what we see is actually a very typical trend that we've seen in other technologies. So there's a new technology, mobile TV. It looks very attractive. It looks like a great opportunity. So a lot of chip makers basically go towards this direction. Large companies and new companies, startups, that are basically targeting to this. So we see kind of I would say, a plethora of companies running into this direction, up to 20, 25 companies at the peak. Then, when the market is delayed and the reality starts hitting in the face, then you see the number of companies decline and so on. And then, in the end, when the industry is stable, you would typically see not more than 6 providers for any technology. So we expect in mobile TV, in the end, I would say in about 2 years from now, you would probably have 4 startup companies very active and about 3 large companies, and that's about it. All the other ones will have to go away.
And what are the difficult things, that the design challenges for chip developers for mobile TV? Is it power? Is it the features you need to support? What are the things that maybe you could even differentiate on as well?
Well, there's obviously a trade-off between performance and power, and this is really a challenge to come up with a high-performance device, but at the same time to consume low power. We took upon ourselves another challenge, which is unique to Siano, and this is to allow multi-protocol, multi-standard TVs on a single chip. So we're the only company right now that comes up with a device that supports ISDBT, TDMB, DVB-H, DVB-T. So basically, with one chip, a device maker can cover most of the world, I would say. So this is an additional challenge. Obviously, that requires us to come up with a very innovative architecture, and that's the secret of the company, really.
Okay, so how would, over the next year or two, where would you see most of your demand coming from in terms of that model you've talked about? The standalone free-to-air, and what we are Europe are really interested in on the mobile phone side.
So looking at, let's say, the next 18 months, I would say a great portion of the demand for our chips is going to come from China, from CMMB. Then in number 2, DVB-T for Europe, ISDBT for Japan and Brazil, and then TDMB for Korea and some other places. And then DVB-H only after that. But then in the next time frame, I would say 2 years, 3 years from now, we expect DVB-H to get stronger and become a more significant factor in our revenues.
And do you think the mobile operators will come to see mobile TV as just another must-have function alongside music and video and so on?
Definitely. This is exactly our vision. We believe that right now mobile operators are experimenting mobile TV. In the end, they're going to understand the plus and minuses, exactly how to do it, how to provide it to the end user in a successful way. We think that this is going to become a commodity, just like Bluetooth and a digital camera and so on. We think that the conditions for this to happen from the mobile operator standpoint is, number 1, good content. Part of the content has to be free of charge. They cannot go for the entire bouquet as a pay TV, because people would be reluctant to make a commitment for a pay TV. And we learned that from China, from Japan, and so on. I think the Chinese model is really successful in this respect, because initially they come up with about 15 channels free of charge. They get the consumer get used to that for a year, and then on top of that, they had about 20 channels which are pay TV premium content. And I think eventually the same model is going to be successful in Europe. You'll have 5, 6, 10 channels which are basic channels for free, and then premium channels as a pay TV service.
Okay, thank you very much, Siano.